DownHome Sports, covering all the sports in Ellis County. Brought to you by Pinnacle Bank, the way banking should be. Pinnacle Bank, not just another bank in Texas, but Texas and a bank. Located off of 287 in Midlothian, Texas. And Dough City Pizza and Burgers. For artisan burgers, pizzas, and ice cream, make sure you go where it's delicious to Dough City Pizza and Burgers, located in Red Oak, right across from the high school.
Elite Foot and Body in Midlothian, Texas, off of 663. Make sure you go to get your body rejuvenated after hard workouts and great competitions. With today's busy schedules, we need flexibility. Pinnacle Bank is the way banking should be. With ATM Live, powered by the people. They have hours that make it easy. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can just pull up to one of the easy-to-access ATMs, where there's always someone live, friendly, and knowledgeable to help you. Pinnacle Bank, not just another bank in Texas, but Texas in a bank. Member FDIC.
The battle to belong begins here, among the few, the proud, the Marines.
We had the chance to stop by Red Oak Middle School the other night to check out the Red Oak Volleyball 4x4. A community event for all ages, all skill levels. So let's check out some of the fun they had and why people are finding 4x4 volleyball so exciting here in Ellis County.
Fun? I don't know. This is my first time, so it really helps you, I guess, know people. And like you play with different people, and these kids, like little kids, they get more stronger because you know how hard they hit. It's very fun.
It's like no stress at all, and so you just get to play and mess around and no big deal. You get to see like everyone you know for summertime and college. Yeah, that's about it.
And you get the opportunity to get extra touches, meet new people who are on your team, and just the time in the ball.
You can get better too.
So here's the information so you can play some vigorous volleyball 4x4 in Red Oak on Thursday nights. Or make sure to check out the local high school near you to see if they've got a 4x4 in your area as well. In Ellis County, there's only one place to go: Doe City Pizza and Burgers. But don't worry, they got you also covered on ice cream as well. All kinds of flavors made in-house just specially for you. And toppings to boot, as many as you like. So count your blessings for Doe City Pizza and Burgers and those big old scoops the size of Texas. Made just the way you want. So head on down to Doe City where the service and food are both delicious. Doe City Pizza and Burgers located in Red Oak, Texas, right across from the high school. Come on down and try them.
We would like to welcome in Coach Rogers, Coach Monreal, and Coach Gonzalez from Midlothian, Ennis, and Waxahachie, respectively. Thank y'all so much for joining us. As you know, we are an Ellis County sports show, and we wanted to sit down with some coaches, not only in the county, but graduated from schools in the county and played in this county. And so we thank y'all for taking time out of your evenings to join us. I want to say first, congratulations to Coach Gonzalez. This will be your first year up with Waxahachie at the high school level, so congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, but again, thank y'all all for joining with us, and I'll let Tater get us started with the first line of questions.
Well, the first question for me, for y'all, is having grown up here in Ellis County, played in Ellis County at your particular schools, you know, what did playing at Waxahachie, Midlothian, and Ennis, et cetera, mean to you as an individual, and how did that get you on the path to go to coaching? Coach Gonzalez, we'll start with you.
Growing up here in Waxahachie, I mean, I played sports from when I started walking until I graduated. Just being an Indian, I mean, always looking up to all those people, whoever it was, volleyball, basketball, softball, just looking up and knowing that, I mean, sports run deep in Waxahachie, and just being able to look up and just being a part of that family that Waxahachie has as athletics, and just being a part of it was something that kind of got me rolling. Actually didn't think I was going to go into coaching whenever I graduated high school. I come from, my sister's a coach here in Waxahachie, my brother-in-law. So I didn't think I wanted to go into that route until I got into college and really knew it was my calling once I started coming back and helping Coach Fawcett and stuff. So.
Well, Coach Rogers, what about you?
It over to me. All right. Excuse me. Back, you know, when I was in school, Midlothian was significantly smaller. And so I feel like you knew people more probably than you do today. I can remember, you know, going to MHS games when I was little bitty. And so the opportunity to represent your community is huge. I think that's a really big deal. That I don't think there's anything else like sports that can mimic that. And for me, that's really what it was. It was the opportunity to have Panthers across my chest, the M on my hat, and that really meant a lot. Still does. And just the chance you get to go meet people and just represent your community, I think that's huge. And you know, I jumped at the opportunity to come back. When I did that, I begged Ray for a job, and luckily was able to get one here, and wouldn't trade it for the world.
Coach Monreal.
Same thing. You know, I have my older brother who's coaches with me here in Ennis. You know, I remember playing with him and all his buddies. You know, he's 4 years older than me, but I just remember seeing them and watching them play and watching them here at Ennis. And then, you know, it was something that you looked forward to, something that it was special to be able to go out there. And I remember, you know, in the summertime playing with all those guys. And you know, there's a few times where they were short a player, and here you go, 4 years younger than everybody, jump in there and go play. And, you know, that kind of meant the world to me to be able to go play with my brother and you know, have that Ennis across your chest. And I was lucky enough, you know, I played 3 sports, and, you know, I was lucky enough to play on those football teams that won state titles, and, you know, and lucky enough to be on a baseball team that was pretty good. And I couldn't wait whenever the opportunity came, and Coach Harrell, and they reached out to me, and I interviewed, and, you know, I was hoping I got the job. And when I got it, I knew that it's a sense of pride that you can't make it up. It's a sense of pride that you just have growing up. And you know, my dad, he's heavily involved with the Little League here in Ennis, and my grandpa was heavily involved before he passed away in the Little League. So it's just something that you brought up with, and, you know, you have some passion for it, not only for the job, but for the kids that you're coaching, because you can see yourself in them, and, you know, it means a lot.
Well, I want to ask you guys, and we'll start with Lindsay. Talk about the coaches that you had when you were in high school, or maybe even younger, and what about this community and the coaches here that really sucked you in and made the coaching route seem like a viable opportunity, seem like something that you wanted to do? Was there any coaching and specifically that really helped trigger it, or was it just kind of as the group as a whole?
It was kind of the group as a whole. I mean, Coach Fawcett going up there, she's been around for forever. And having her in junior high and stuff, really looking up to her, she helped. Coach Scott, she's now there. She has always been a part of my junior high. But my 2 biggest would have to be Coach Fawcett and was Erica Weber. It's Erica Weber. It was Erica Knowles, and I know her. Coach K. She's a head volleyball coach at Midlothian Heritage. And came in, I started as a freshman on JV, and she was my coach. And from that day on, she just kind of stuck with me. I mean, to the day I graduated, still to the day, we still talk. And she kind of helped me in that route and whenever I needed it. And yeah, so I would have to say Coach Fawcett just being a huge part of my life. I mean, to today. I mean, getting that call when she called me and asked me to be her varsity assistant, I about fell out. So she's always been a huge support in my life, and even when I was in college. And then Erica Weber, those 2 probably were my biggest support systems and helped me decide to go into the coaching route.
What about you, Coach Rogers?
I think you take little bits and pieces from everybody that you've played with or played for, other guys that you coached with. And I think those help make you into kind of you finding your style. You know, for me, the guys that stick out, honestly, Brian Blackwell, who coached me in middle school basketball, 7th and 8th grade, really stood out to me. Curtis Ravy, who, you know, is an Alvarado boy. You know, and then I got to play for Ray my senior year, and prior to that, Eugene Dreyer, and even Ronnie Clanton, you know, just always being around. And, you know, Ronnie's been in Midlothian since forever, it seems like. But those guys, you know, they have an impact on you, and they really kind of drew me in. I didn't know when I graduated from college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. My degree is in business. And I just, you know, those guys and the impact that they made, I looked at that, said, you know, maybe I could have that impact on somebody else. And that was really what kind of led me to get into it. And, you know, now that I've been in it 17 years, it's been the greatest thing that I've done outside of being a dad and a husband. And, you know, hopefully one day somebody's talking about me the same way I'm talking about these guys. I guess that's really all our goal.
Well, Coach Monreal, we'll take it to you now.
It's hard to say or hard not to say Coach Harrell. Coach Harrell, he's awesome and being well known and him doing what he did for Ennis. And, I remember the days of, when he first got there in the 90s, everybody thinks of, the runs that we had. And, he worked his tail off, and he's been a great role model for me, and not only me, but, a lot of my close-knit friends that I've been in weddings with, and he's actually done the weddings. And so, he's been a big part of our lives, and he's awesome to work with. But I think for me, going to colleges and seeing everything like that, I had a coach in college who really helped me out in his style. And his name's Coach Hall. He's now a pitching coach at West Texas A&M. And I would say that out of coaches, I just think for some reason him and another coach, Coach Simpson and Coach Harrell, those three guys, they kind of stick out in my mind. And they're guys that whenever I was there at Texas Tech, I came back and went back to my old junior college, and Coach Simpson and Coach Hall would have me help them run their camps, and that's where I kind of got the coaching bug, and that's where I kind of filtered in. When I first graduated, I was a project manager for a big old contracting company and traveled the world and did all that. And after a few years, I missed coaching, and I jumped back in it, and this would be I think this is my 10th year coming up, and
wow.
I love it, and I won't ever go back. But those three guys for me stick out of my mind just because you could just tell they love the kids. They loved us, and they all had their own style. And you can really, as a coach and as a young coach, you can kind of see what worked for you, what didn't work for you. And I think they really inspired me and helped me out.
Well, my next question, y'all, is it not that you take probably people that you played with, not just the coaches, but some of the great people that you played with, and assign those to kind of like, oh, she's just like this, or he's just like this guy that I played with my freshman year, my sophomore year, et cetera? I mean, do you tend to do that and kind of have a soft spot for some kids, more so, and not saying more so than others, but, do you just start thinking back? Does it make you nostalgic sometimes to see these things? Kellen, let's start with you this time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does. And, for baseball, you play it for so long. I played up until I was 24 years old, and you play it through college. And, you get to know so many people through, even sports when it comes to football and all that. Every time that you have a kid, you can instantly remember of, man, he was this way. How did he react when this happened? How did he react when that happened? And I think nowadays, as coaching, as you're in it longer and longer, I think the biggest thing is, as a coach, we have to learn how to adjust. It used to be, the old school my way or the highway type of coaches, and there's still some out there that do it that way, and and there's no disrespect to them, but I think the biggest part about coaching now is being able to adjust and being able to adjust to, in a baseball program, you have 40 to 50 kids, and you got to adjust to all 50 kids. All 50 kids aren't the same. They all come from different backgrounds. And so in my opinion, you can't treat every kid and every situation the same, because the kids are different. And you can relate back to your days of playing with certain type of personalities, and just remember, hey, how did he react, or what happened when he did this, or did he do that? How do I go about it? And I think it definitely does help. And you played with the guys that were, I like to say you love to play with them, but if you played against them, you didn't like them, and those guys, and it's just,
yeah,
you have to understand that, and you have to understand the type of kids you have, and you have to be able to adjust with them. And it definitely helps with the experiences you've had in the past.
Well, Coach Gonzalez, you take those experiences, and then, being a younger coach, does it really help to connect with these kids a lot more, knowing the history and explain the history to them of the school, and being able to pass that along as well?
Yeah, it does, especially with me. I mean, I went through Waxahachie volleyball for 4 years, so I mean, the traditions that they have and the traditions that it upholds and what people see and what people, it's a lot. It's easier for me to relate to them. Just because I've been through the program. I've been in their shoes from a freshman to a senior graduating. So it is really easy for me to relate to them. And that's one of the things I'm really excited to do this year is to be able to be there and relate to them and just help them through that process. I mean, it's a hard process, but it's such a privilege to put on a Waxahachie jersey. And I've known that, and just to be able to show them that and then help them understand those traditions that we upheld.
Well, Coach Rogers, you mentioned all those names before that you were able to play for. And, most of those guys still come over to the ballpark over there in Midlothian a lot. And, how do you get that same vibe that y'all had back then into today's culture?
Well, if I'm being totally honest, my class in particular, we kind of took a lot of things for granted. And we hadn't experienced the success as players that we have as coaches, for me personally. So I think a lot of it is and you hear it over and over and over. We talk about traditions, we talk about history, we talk about relating to kids and all of that stuff. And you're really you're trying to get across the point to the kids. You don't want to be 5 years down the road and go, if I had only done this, maybe something would have been different. Maybe I would have gotten to experience something that I didn't get to do or whatever it may be. And I think that's something that a lot of times it's really hard, especially with today's generation. They have everything instantly, and we're asking them to put those things aside for a minute. And when I say a minute, we're talking, 3-4 months, 5, 6, if you're lucky, and just trust the process. And I think sometimes that's difficult. But I think you can draw back on those experiences that you had as players and teammates that you had, and it definitely helps. But it's like Helen said, everybody's different, and you've got to figure out what works for each individual. The example that sticks out in my mind is when I first got into coaching, I had a kid who I had actually played with his uncle. And I saw a lot of similarities between him and the kid that I played with. And there were some issues. And this kid's dad actually came and talked to me. And, because of that past experience, I was able to say, hey, look, this is what's going on. And this is what you're going to ultimately do if something doesn't change. And at the time, he didn't really like hearing that. But at the end of the year, he pulled me aside and said, hey, I needed to hear that. I really appreciate that. Nobody's ever said it like that before. And I think that's something exactly like what you're talking about, kids that we played with that we're getting to see. For me, it just happened to be a family member. And so it was able to really connect. But I think it's all really important that we get the kids to understand, they're part of something bigger than themselves. And I think when you listen to Coach Gonzalez and Coach Monreal, that's exactly what they're saying as well.
Well, I want to get you guys to talk about. I know when you look at the county, and it's great that the 3 schools that you came from, the competition level from the top to the bottom, and y'all are at 3 schools where we floated in past years, from where all 3 were in the same district. Now 2 are in the same district, but you all still play each other. Talk about, in your experience from when you were there till now, the competition level just between the schools in Ellis County, and how fun that was, how important that was, and how those rivalries are still there and still alive. Coach Rogers, we'll throw it back to you first.
I'm so glad I get to start this one. For me personally, this is totally my opinion, and obviously I'm biased. But I feel like when you look at Ellis County, the schools that are going to get the most coverage are Midlothian, Waxahachie, and Ennis. They're the biggest towns. They're going to get the most coverage and all that stuff. You throw Red Oak into the mix, and Red Oak is a very competitive program. And then you get down into the smaller schools, and, you got Italy and Avalon and Palmer and a lot of little schools that historically are very successful. For me personally, if you go back and you look at Waxahachie High School baseball, it was like, they got that big brag board on the side of the concession stand, and you walk in, and it's like from 1980 to 2000, they were the premier in the county, and everybody was trying to knock them off. And I think it's become more competitive over the years. And it's so much fun. Richards Park is unlike any other park. It's my favorite park in the state. And, that don't tell anybody I said that. But just the atmosphere, when things are going good, you got one side that's all blue, one side that's all green, and it is a dog fight. And it's so much fun to be a part of. You go to Ennis and, Coach Monreal, he's got a really young team. They're going to be good for the next few years. They were good when Coach Kalanick was there. They're going to be scrappy always. And that you're coming into something where if you're not on your game, then you're going to get embarrassed. And that's something that we really preach to our kids. There's not a team in our district, but for sure, there's not a team in our county that you can take for granted, and nobody's going to win just for showing up. You're going to have to go play, and you're not going to be able to make mistakes. And I think, we don't get a lot of coverage from, the Dallas newspapers, the Fort Worth newspapers or whatnot, because we're south of I-20, and, I would bet you're hard pressed to find a county south of 20 that is more competitive and has more talent than Ellis County does. Just the fact that I've gotten to be a part of it as a player and a coach is a blessing. And, it's fun every night when you go to the ballpark, and I don't think you can ask for anything more than that.
Well, Coach Gonzalez, what about you?
It's all, we've been blessed to grow up and be able to compete in this competitive community. It's always fun. You get to go compete against Midlothian. You can see your friends that that go to a different school, or you go to Ennis to go there. Just been fun to compete. I had a competitive competition. Just me being in school. I remember going to Ennis and being in the Battle of 287. Just being able to be a part of that. That was always so much fun. And then in Red Oak volleyball and Waxahachie were always big competitors. Those games were so much fun just to look up in the stands and see just it packed, no matter if we were at Waxahachie or we were in Red Oak. Each sides were going to be packed, and it was going to be fun and competitive. And going to Midlothian, like you said, baseball. I'll remember walking into Richards Park all of my 4 years of high school against Midlothian's teams, and it just being solid packed, and just having this support from both communities, and just being out there and having competitive and just having fun.
Well, Coach Monreal, on your way, guy played football, played baseball. And it seems like, too, as a guy who played baseball, all these kids in the county know each other. They play against each other in summer ball. Then they go back to school. Talk about your experiences on playing and now coaching in Ellis County and the rivalries we have.
Well, it's funny you say that, because whenever I went to college, I happened to be suite mates with the guy from Red Oak. So we always, joked around. His name's Adam De La Garza, and then his good friend name was Matt Curry, who, whose numbers retired there at Red Oak, and both those guys were in my wedding. And, it's just funny because we took pride in being from Ellis County, and even when we were in college, we'd always joke around and say, what those Ellis County boys do. And we would just joke around about it, I played against Bonham Huff and, played with him at Texas Tech too. So it's a sense of pride of being able to, to be from Ellis County and know that if you were to put an all-star team of Ellis County kids, that you get a good chance of beating a lot of really, really good teams. And I think people don't really see it, like Coach Rogers said, south of I-20 there, but Ellis County has some ball players, and I don't really care what sport you're talking about. You're always going to have competitive ball players, and being a part of the Battle of 287 in football, and I remember stands being packed, and we luckily got to play Waxahachie twice my senior year in football, and it's just something that you take pride in, and knowing that, yeah, you're rivals, but at the end of the day, whenever you finish up or something like that, it's a sense of pride of being from Ellis County. And like I said, we knew each other, we played each other, and we played hard, and the stands would always be packed. And, you know, it's competitive, and it's a point of I'm trying to beat you, even though we're trying to be the best in Ellis County. And you know what, like Coach Rogers said, you know, whenever you play a Waxahachie or a Red Oak, any of those teams that you're going to have to bring it, or Midlothian, you're going to have to bring it. And there's no way and no doubts about it that you can't be on your A game and expect to win. And those teams and those programs do a heck of a job year in and year out. And, you know, it's tough. You know it. Our district's hard. Our county's hard, and you got to bring it.
Well, and, you know, Coach Monreal, I'm going to stick with you right now and start this off with you. But we know that these athletes, these coaches, they want to win. Y'all want to win, and especially if it's somebody in the county, you want bragging rights for a little bit. But talk about the heart of the county as well through sports. We've had a few tragedies that have happened over the past couple of years, and it just seems like, you know, like I bring this up every time, you know, Austin, when he passed away way too early, that next night I was doing radio for Midlothian versus Waxahachie volleyball, and both teams came out with green ribbons on their shoes. Just talk about the heart. And I mean, I know your program, Coach Rogers, and the guys at Midlothian, just how everybody rallies together, even though we're so competitive on the field. Freeze him up.
Froze up on.
That's okay. Well, Coach Gonzalez, let's skip over to you real quick.
Oh yeah, it's a heart of community. I mean, like I said, I loved going and playing against Midlothian being volleyball, because we would always play club volleyball together and just getting off and just having that heart and community and being our friends and getting off there. And when I was in high school, an accident happened with one of the baseball players, Britton Cup. I mean, in a matter of minutes, I think the whole community had came together. Half the volleyball team, half the baseball team, half football team, everyone, basketball, we were all together, like just talking and being around each other. We were up at the hospital. So, I mean, it didn't matter if you played volleyball, basketball, softball, whatever. We all came together to be one and represent just Waxahachie athletics.
Coach Monreal, let's get back to you now. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Sorry. I don't know if I got some bad service or whatever happened there.
It's okay. What about the heart of the community? How the teams rally around? You know, when we have something bad happen in the county, you know, it just seems like all the teams, all the coaches get together and make it the best possible situation and support all these kids.
Yes, sir. You know, we know what happened this past year and with Austin and that tragedy, and just seeing how, you know, Austin was with us for, you know, a few years there in Ennis, and, you know, went through grade school and all the way up to Ennis and went over Waxahachie. But to see, you know, there is a big rivalry, but to see everybody just drop the rivalry and come together and support each other, and even with Midlothian and supporting Austin and supporting, you know, it's something special. And I don't know if you find that everywhere, but it's a sense of pride. And like I said, yeah, we compete against each other, but we're still all from Ellis County. And it's something that I think people deep down in, if you're not from Ellis County, you don't really understand. And so I just think it's tough to put it in words, but seeing the thing the tragedy that happened with Austin, and seeing how everything, everybody's supporting each other. We had a candlelight vigil there at our field in Ennis, and I mean, there was tons of people from Waxahachie that came, tons of people from Ennis that came, and just, you know, you just, I think a lot of times you might take it for granted of, you know, of the situations you're in and how good we do have it here in Ellis County. So, and I'm very appreciative of being from here.
Coach Rogers?
I think
the best way I can explain it is it's like going to a family reunion and all the cousins show up, right? So we're going to go play pickup basketball or backyard football or whatever it is. And I'm going to do whatever I have to do to beat you. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm going to take care of you like you're me. And I think, you know, that's something that I think a lot of times gets lost as coaches. I can't tell you the number of times we call each other and go, hey, how would you handle this situation? What would you do? And just the amount of respect that each coach has for the other programs across the county. And when tragedy hits, obviously, you know, it's no different in my mind than picking up the phone and calling and asking, you know, how your cousin's doing or how your uncle's doing or whatever it may be. And then, you know, you do whatever you've got to do to help them get through whatever it is that they're dealing with and so forth. And, you know, like Kellen said, just the privilege that we have to be a part of that is something that, you know, I don't think a lot of people really realize, and I don't think a lot of other people really have. And that's the beauty of you know, being from a county that is predominantly a bunch of small towns that, you know, when push comes to shove, small towns stick together. And that's kind of what we do across the county, regardless of what name's on your jersey or what color you wear or whatever it may be. At the end of the day, we're all in it for each other as much as anything.
Well, Coach Rogers, we're going to stick with you, but this is for all three of you again. We've talked about a lot of high school coaches that, you know, paved the way for y'all, showed y'all how to run a program, you know, sometimes how not to run a program probably. But let's talk real quick about what I'd like y'all to do is just tell me if you can remember the very first rec coach you had and what sport, okay, and just something really quick about that coach.
Mine still haunts me to this day. No, my first rec coach was my dad, and I was blessed in the fact that I grew up in a family that we pretty much revolve around baseball. You know, good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. Baseball brings us all together, and so I learned a lot from him. I call him after every game, and the first thing out of my mouth is, well, what do you think? And so, you know, I get to hear all his second guesses and why'd y'all do this and whatnot. And, you know, there was one game that I didn't call, and my mom actually called me the next morning and said, you know, your dad waited up for 45 minutes waiting on you to call and you never did. So just the fact that sports has done that, you know, and there's others that I could name, but, you know, the relationship that I've formed through sports with my dad is unlike any other, and something I'll be forever grateful for.
Awesome. Coach Gonzalez?
My first rec coach was my dad. I think started playing basketball like 3 years old. I don't even know if you can do that, but he somehow had me up there playing on basketball. And he was my coach until I started in junior high. And it was just something, and he's been my biggest support system. I mean, he's gone and he's taken me from private lessons all the way up in North Dallas to every volleyball tournament, never missed a beat, never missed a tryout, was always one of the first ones in the stands and the last ones to leave. And just like Coach Rogers, I mean, after every game, I call my dad and ask him, hey, how do you think this went? What do you think I could have done better? What do you think? And he's my biggest support system, but he's also going to tell me how it is. And, you know, that's a big reason of why I am and how the person I am today and the way I coach is because he's just been honest with me and been my biggest support system. So.
Awesome. Coach Monreal?
Well, looks like this is a good segue for Father's Day because my dad was the same one. So, and my dad, you know, he, like I said, I have an older brother and I always played a couple of years older than I should have. So, and it was because of him. And I'm thankful that he did do the things that he did. And hold on, baby. And now I get this one. So
there you go.
But I'm thankful for him. And don't get me wrong, he was tough. He was a type of coach that if somebody missed a ground ball in front of me, I better watch out because he was hitting one about twice as hard. because he was mad at that guy for missing it. So now I get the pain of him being upset. And I can remember, being 2 years younger than everybody and being one of the first ones of my age in kid pitch and stepping out. So like an old school baseball coach does, he put 2 bats behind my front foot. I said, all right, step out now and see what happens. And so, I just cherish those moments. And, the crazy thing is I have 2 daughters now, and my dad was the rough, tough, throw some dirt on it, be the tough guy. And seeing my dad go out there to my daughter's blast ball game, and he's the complete opposite now. He's such a softie, and he knows it too. But it's something that I think my dad got from his dad. And, I really, really go back and think about all the tough times that, all the arguments we had and everything that was going on. And still to this day, he's going to be there at every game. And not only that is the kids know my dad, and the kids, they like to see what my dad has to say. And it's just pretty special of the relationship you have. And I'm just really, really thankful for that.
Amazing.
Well, awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate y'all taking time out of your evenings to come and join us. This has been a fun one for us to get away from X's and O's and plays and just talk a little bit about being down home and what's going on around the county. So thank you, Coach Rogers, Coach Gonzalez, Coach Monreal, for joining us. Hopefully we can do this again soon and talk a little more sports specific. But thank y'all so much, and we hope to have y'all on. Wish you the best of luck with the rest of your summer. Enjoy it, because I know practices and school is going to start here. We're just around the corner. So how are you doing this evening?
Good.
You got a great daddy, let me tell you.
And folks, we'll tell you once again our beliefs, which is we got the best coaches between the lines and outside the lines right here in Ellis County.
And I play Saturday.
She plays Saturday, so make sure you make it on out there to Ennis. Okay?
On Saturday.
All right.
So, well, thank y'all so much. Y'all have a good evening, and we'll talk to y'all later.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Elite Foot and Body Therapeutic Massage and Assisted Stretching. We push our bodies to the limit, trying to gain that extra edge to be ready to take the field when that whistle blows. So take care of the most important equipment, your body, with massage, compression therapy, and assisted stretching.
So when you take the field, you're ready to be elite. Elite Foot and Body at 3271 FM 663 in Midlothian, Texas. Call 214-817-8545 to set your appointment today. Hey, Ellis County, guess what? We got Sam, Tex, Wrinkle, Midlothian Tennis over here. And Coach, let's get it started off with this right now. What have y'all got going so far this summer? I know you had a camp early on, and how did that go?
Well, so we started camp last week, or 2 weeks ago. I guess we're in the start of our third week of camp, but we don't offer 1 week camps, whether it be K through 5 or 5 through 8 or intermediate. Our middle school kids and some of our more advanced kids that are in that group, or our high school kids that are looking to play college tennis. We do 6 or 8 weeks of camp. So we're not in it for 1 week. If they don't do it here, they're not going to get it anywhere else. So we're here for the whole summer, and we're 2 weeks through, and we've got 6 weeks left to go. So,
wow. That's awesome. Well, Sam, I want to know from your perspective, when you talk about you got high school kids looking to go play college in these camps, talk about the opportunities that maybe some kids, misconceptions of when they're looking for a sport, like, hey, I want to get my college paid for, and they don't think tennis, but that's a very viable option. I went to a D2 school, and every single one of those girls were there on full scholarship.
So
and they're good.
Yeah.
But talk about those opportunities that tennis can afford young athletes if they want to go on to the next level and get their school paid for.
Yeah. So I think one of the misconceptions with college sports in general is that you get athletic scholarship and then there's no other money out there for you. I think the majority of cases is that you go to private schools that stack merit-based scholarships, which is athletic, academic, any other character scholarships, and they stack them upon each other. And so, a lot of these private schools that you're looking at $30,000 to $35,000 a year, once you start stacking those merit-based scholarships, you can get down to more of a state level school. If you just look at the state schools and you just look at, academic or athletic, one or the other, you end up in the same range as you would if you looked at private schools that stack all of those scholarships on top of each other. And so that's one of the things that I tell kids and parents when they're looking for colleges and looking to get their college paid for is, you see all these coaches on Twitter talk about, the entire athlete. Are you a good student? Are you a person of high character? Are you good at athletics? Well, at these private schools, there are grants and scholarships and, athletic scholarships that stack, on top of each other, where you may start at 32, but you end up, down around 10, 15, 12, somewhere around there. If you look at a state school, maybe 22, 17 to 22, but they only offer athletic scholarship, or they only offer athletic scholarship, you end up in about the same range. And so if you're a well-rounded student athlete in high school, if you've got good grades, if you've got good character, if you're a good, athlete, you can get down in these private schools around the same range that these state schools will get you to. So you just have to look at the whole picture.
Well, Coach, let's drop back down in age a little bit. We're talking 6 to 8 weeks. And you got some of these young kids out there with you at these camps, and plus you got the older kids to kind of mentor them a little bit and let them see what things are about. And like you mentioned, you got your college players that come in every year and help. But, talk about the abilities that you start seeing in these kids over a 6 to 8 week period where they're intensely practicing tennis.
Yeah. So, it's been our goal over the last 3 or 4 years. Coach Ratzlaff and I, my assistant coach, we've said, we want to start kids off at an earlier age. Regardless of what it looks like, let's get a racket in their hand and let's get them used to hitting a tennis ball. And there's so many things that come along with hitting a tennis ball at a young age. Regardless of what people think about tennis, you have to be a good athlete to play tennis. You have to be able to move. You have to be able to hit a ball. You have to have hand-eye coordination. You're basically playing chess at 60 miles an hour. You have to be smart. You have to think for yourself. You have to have intrinsic motivation. And so starting kids off at a younger age has really accelerated our program. And, kids that, we've started that are, even too young to be in our middle school and high school programs are now hitting a tennis ball on their own. They're in our system. And the amount of kids that we have coming up in the, third grade through fifth grade age is pretty remarkable. So I'm excited.
That's cool.
Well, talk about the development of tennis, not only in Midlothian, but in this area. It seems like tennis, like so many other sports not named football, are growing. And it seems like since you've been there, your numbers keep increasing. And like you said, starting at a younger age. But talk about the involvement of the community in Midlothian tennis and then the tennis in this area, how over the years it has become a sport that has grown in popularity.
Yeah. So when I started on probably about 10 years ago, I was a Davis Cup hitting coach in Malaysia. So I worked with, I hit with a bunch of Malaysian, nationals that were, playing on the Davis Cup team as a hitting partner. And after a year living in Malaysia, I came back to Midlothian. I started working at a country club and, for me personally, I found out that I would prefer to work with, all demographics of kids. I didn't want to just work with country club kids. And country club kids had, basically dominated the sport of tennis, and for good reason. I mean, you have to have money to play tennis is the connotation. And growing up in Kansas, I didn't have those resources. My mom was a bank teller, and my dad was a coach and teacher. He was, a football coach, and I grew up playing football. And I just had the overwhelming, sense in myself, like, I don't think that it's okay that you have to have money to be good at tennis. And so that was just my overarching type of mentality. And I wanted to work with kids outside of a country club setting. And so I came to Midlothian after working at a country club, and, I didn't have a set rate. I said, if there was a kid that needed this, or if there was a kid that could do this, I was willing to work with whoever. And I was super fortunate with the academy that we had set up here in Midlothian, that those kids went on to be, 3-time district champions. We had numerous kids that went off to college. We had numerous kids that were getting money to play tennis. And so, that's just what we've tried to kind of duplicate. We had a split in schools with Heritage and Midlothian that, kind of threw a kink in the system. And so I really tried to implement, that type of system, just on this side of town with my kids. We still have a lot of Heritage kids. I just really have taken the mindset, the autonomy, like, hey, if you want to be good at tennis, we'll find a way for you to do it. You don't have to have a lot of money to do it. We try to, incorporate people from all types of backgrounds. And it's interesting, how that type of mentality, really, kind of seeps into the rest of our program. Like, there's kids that know they don't have a whole lot, and they really push the kids that, maybe, take advantage of some of the situations that they have here in Midlothian. And, it's created a real unique, type of atmosphere that has allowed for our culture to really, grow, And so, I don't know, I'm just really happy with the culture we have here in Midlothian. And it's not based on what type of money you have. It's not based around, some sort of a country club type atmosphere. We've got a basket of balls. We've got some courts. We've got some good instruction. You want to come out and work hard, you have every opportunity to be good at tennis. And that's the way we want it.
Well, Coach, talk about 10 years ago, right? Just in Midlothian, you just had the courts up to school. Then the other courts that are across town. Now you've got your kids actually have a locker room to change in.
Yeah.
Which I think some of them don't realize is still there. And now you got this big facility there, Ennis with the indoor facility and outdoor, Ferris. I mean, around the county, you're starting to see more and more tennis courts start to pop up. Just talk about from a county perspective, because I know y'all all work together as well, no matter the schools, but how that sport is really grown and the infrastructure that the cities and the ISDs are building to help that out.
Yeah. Well, let me first of all say, like, Coach York has been awesome. We've faced our own challenges as far as like growing as a program, and just some of the setbacks we have as far as our situation and our circumstance goes. And Coach York he's been great. His primary mindset has always been about the kids and helping the program. And so, I couldn't say enough about that side of things. But, another connotation that I always hear is, Midlothian has this, or Ennis has indoor courts, or Corsicana has 12 courts. I'll tell you what, guys, there's no secret to it. There is busting butt. There's working hard in the summer, and is there any reason, there's no reason. Why is Ennis good? Always. Why is Corsicana good? Always. Why is Midlothian, I'd like to think, pretty good? Always. It's because there are people that are working hard for these kids, and these kids have bought in to being good at tennis. There's no secret to it. Ennis is not good because they have indoors. Corsicana is not good because they have 12 courts. Midlothian is not good because we have all of these amenities around us. We're good because the coaches put in the work, the kids buy into it, they put in the work in the summer, and year in and year out, those three schools are the best schools in South DFW. And so, that's just the way that it goes.
Well, the amenities and the courts and everything, like I said, that doesn't just happen because, you have a program. Like you said, it is a reflection of those are there because of a reason. We build these things around these kids for a reason. Like you said, that reason is the kids and the coaches that put the time and the effort in.
Oh, definitely. And, Coach, but the other thing that the amount of courts in these areas has helped out with is perpetuating this into college players. Kids that are in college that just go up there and play to have fun. Adults. I know that you're teamed up with the Midlothian Tennis Association, and y'all are doing an adult and what is it, adult and kid tournament?
Yeah, so it's called a Flex League. It takes place over 10 weeks, and we've got kids from third grade all the way up to adults that are in their 60s and 70s. And so the great thing about tennis is regardless of your skill, the UTR system, gives you a ranking, and you play that person based on what your ranking is. And so, I just watched a match last week where a 37-year-old woman played a sophomore in high school. I just watched a match today where a sophomore or soon to be junior in high school played a soon to be 8th grader in middle school. And so, you're just developing a culture around tennis, and you're developing, different situations that these kids need to learn from. The adults are out there basically to run around and sweat. They would rather play a tennis match than go run on the treadmill. And I'm definitely in that boat. But these kids, these kids can learn from, most of these junior players, they have plan A and maybe plan B. As an older, overweight, former college player, I have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, plan F. I mean, any plan you can possibly imagine, I've got it. And so if you want to beat me, you better dig deep into that bag. And the experience that comes from, playing against somebody that, has all those tricks in that bag, those eventually resurface in that kid's career to win tennis matches for their school or as a junior or as a college player later on down the road. I mean, it's only good for our kids to play adults.
That's cool. Well, and Coach, one other thing I want to touch base with you on is, a lot of your kids are, like you said, really working hard, busting their rumps this summer to get ready, because it's not long until that high school season starts back up.
Yeah.
Talk about how these kids are preparing, not just the hard work, but the mental preparation as well this summer of what they're going to need to do to have a successful high school season.
Yeah. So, we definitely don't want to view our fall season as like a cyclical, like, hey, this is your year, this is our year, ups and downs. We expect to win a district championship every year. Ennis has been the big dog for the last several years. They graduated several kids this year. We expect to be the big dog this year. The way Keith coaches those kids, that's going to be a tough match. It's going to be a tough match every year. And, I think our kids realize that. I never have been one big about winning or losing. My whole philosophy is love what you do, work hard, and be diligent. And if we're doing those three things, you can't always control winning or losing. I think that's a big misconnotation. And, athletics and in competition. You know, you could train as hard as you possibly want for 8 to 10 years, but you know what? I'm not going to win a pickup game against LeBron James. Like, I'm just not going to do it, you know? And so you just have to focus on what you can control, and making sure that every practice that you have is centered around like what you can control, your attitude, your energy, your effort, and how you can compete. And then you just hope to think that all those things come together when you need them the most. And so that's our philosophy. We try to take the pressure off kids as far as winning or losing, but the standard is you got to have a good attitude every day. You got to have good effort every day. You got to compete every freaking day. There's no reason why you can't come out here and do those things. And some days you're good, some days you're bad, you know, but over the course of a season, you know, those kids are going to perform and compete, you know, in a more consistent way, and in a way that, you know, the team and the coach can be proud of at the end of the season.
Well, and Coach, do these camps, and we mentioned this a little bit before, these young kids getting to be around these college players that you bring in to instruct, being around the older kids, and being around some of these adults, does it not instill that love for the game in their heart as well?
Yeah. So, you know, I just wrote a list down here of, you know, all the players that we've had from different countries come in, from different places. I'll just name them off.
Yeah.
France, Czech Republic, Nigeria, Lesotho, Russia, Sweden, Finland, Barbados, Serbia, Germany, Argentina, Mexico, Brazil, Montenegro, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, and then numerous former Panthers. And so, you know, these kids have no excuse. They see tennis from all over the world. Like I said, with Corsicana and Ennis and the other successful programs, there's no secret. It doesn't matter what country you're from. You need to work hard. You need to have good effort and good energy on court. You need to be a person of high character. You need to be there every day. You need to be a good teammate, and you need to compete every day. And it doesn't matter what country you're from, those things always hold true. And so, you know, as much as we've had people from other places in the world come, that's always the consistent. And so, you know, if there's any misconnotation about like, maybe they're doing something different in Zambia, maybe they're doing something different in Germany, maybe they're doing something different wherever, we've basically expelled that rumor here in Midlothian. You know, you do those things right and you work hard for 8 weeks over the summer, you're going to get better. And with the amount of people that we've got coming in, like colleges during our season that play here, and the connections that our kids have with those college coaches and players, we can get them off somewhere. But, you know, the standard of what's expected of them, that can't change. That's what college coaches are looking for. So, you know, these kids are going to develop and they're going to improve based on what the level is around them. We try to improve that level by bringing coaches in, and then we try to, you know, send those kids off to other colleges so that they can improve their level, you know, based on where they go. So,
well, Seth, did you ever think you get a tennis coach that get you fired up like Sam can?
No, but I'm ready to run through a brick wall.
Heck
No,
yeah.
but you can see the passion that's there, not only for just tennis, but for these kids. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
But Coach Wrinkle, we appreciate you taking time out of your evening to come and join with us. And like you said, that's the most entertaining 15 minutes of tennis I've ever had. And I was not introduced to the sport at a young age, but I wish I would have been, because if there's coaches like you out there, it don't matter what sports you play, you're going to leave those kids better off than when they started playing. And I think that's off the court too.
Yeah.
And so
for sure,
it's awesome.
And Coach, one last thing, you know, the people that we've been interviewing tonight, we've talked about that person that inspired them to be an athlete or be a coach. And who would that be for you?
Man, I've been so fortunate. My high school coach, and even he will admit probably wasn't able to teach me as much about the game as, he maybe would have wanted to, but he loved the game of tennis. And I remember his 50-year birthday. He played 50 games of tennis for his birthday. He took the day off and he played 50 games of tennis with different people. He scheduled times and he played tennis with them. When I was a junior, there was 2 Zambian guys that we would have come over. They Thanksgiving dinner with us. They'd do laundry at our house. They took an interest in me. Their coach, Jeff Beeman, he was my juniors coach. He went on to be the assistant coach at TCU. He was the ITA regional coach at University of West Alabama just this last semester. Coach Ward at Waxahachie. He taught me more about being a man than, almost anyone other than my dad, and so I've been super fortunate, and I carry that burden with my kids that it's not about tennis. Like, if you're going to be in this program, like, we're going to learn something about character. And I firmly believe that if you want to be a good athlete, the foundation of being a good athlete or being successful at anything is good character. And, we try to really instill that in our kids. And so, I don't know, I'm super blessed. I have more people than I can name that have helped me out along the way. So, I just can't thank them enough.
Pretty awesome. Well, awesome. Well, Coach Wrinkle, thank you so much. We wish you the best luck with the rest of camp and then getting these athletes ready once the season and school comes around. It won't be too much longer.
Well, hey, let me say this before we leave, you guys. Everybody has a part to do. And, Tater and, Seth, is it Seth?
Yes, sir.
You guys are doing a great job. Like, we all have a part to play, and you guys are playing your part, to the best of your ability, and you're promoting sports in Ellis County. And, if it wasn't for what you guys do, I mean, nobody knows what me or Keith or, any of us, smaller name schools would do. And so, we all just have to do our part, and you guys are doing a great job. And so I just can't thank you guys enough.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Coach, before we go, you got to give them one show of the mullet shirt.
Yes, sir.
The
right
mullet
there.
tennis ball.
Tennis
There we
ball,
go.
mullet, American flag bandana, T-shirt, all summer.
That's about everything that encompasses America all in one shirt.
That's right. That's right. We need to bring back John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors and Michael Chang, Pete, Andre, all those guys. We need to get those guys back. Our girls are dominating, but our guys, they need to pick it up.
I just think we need to get you and Keith on the court and see if it ain't a McEnroe Connors deal.
Hey, we would end up at changeovers just talking for about 25 or 30 minutes and just boring everybody out of it.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep promoting tennis, but also keep promoting the heck out of those kids. And we'll get you back on. We'll get you back on here this fall and talk a little Midlothian tennis. So thank you so much. Have a good evening, and we'll talk to you on down the road.
Thanks, you guys. See you, Seth. See you, Tater. Appreciate it.
No problem, man.
With today's busy schedules, we need flexibility. Pinnacle Bank is the way banking should be. With ATM Live, powered by the people. They have hours that make it easy. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can just pull up to one of the easy-to-access ATMs, where there's always someone live, friendly, and knowledgeable to help you. Pinnacle Bank, not just another bank in Texas, but Texas in a bank. Member FDIC.